I think the inheritance tax should be completely abolished. The truth of the matter is that people like Ted Kennedy don't pay it because they set up foundations and they get around it. Who pays it is people who have small businesses, people who have farms, people who have ranches. And what happens very often is that they die, they leave, let's say, a ranch that's worth $5 million to their children. Well, their children owe inheritance tax of up to 55%, and it has to be paid in 90 days. How can they possibly pay it in 90 days? You've got to sell the farm. And that's what happens to ranches, farms, and small businesses. So the whole idea of an inheritance tax to keep the Kennedys from passing on their hundreds of millions of dollars, it doesn't work. It doesn't stop them. What it does is it cripples smaller people. So I think the inheritance tax, it's doubly taxing money that people already pay tax on once, but it is very harmful to families and businesses.
Go ahead and stay up there. Next question, please.
Mr. Lee, you said that you would like to be on the banking committee. What's your attitude towards credit default swaps as contracts, the futures contracts, which are settled on a daily basis? Because I believe that CDSs are probably the biggest acts of our head, among others.
I believe that the whole issue of credit default swaps was something that was created by our government. And here's how. It starts back when Jimmy Carter was president, and they started something called the Community Reinvestment Act that encouraged banks to loan money in bad neighborhoods. The Community Reinvestment Act was nothing but a nuisance back when Jimmy Carter was president. Then we got Bill Clinton as president and Janet Reno with the Department of Justice forcing, with threat of criminal charges, forcing banks to make bad loans to people who they knew couldn't pay them back. So then the banks had a growing portfolio of worthless paper and they had to do something with it. So that's when companies like Bear Stearns said, okay, we'll come in and we'll take this and package it up and give it a AAA, and they called it AAA paper. They called it AAA, and they would start selling this, and they sold it internationally. What it was is a collection of take 1,000 bad loans to people who can't pay the loans back, and you rate it as AAA because it's diversified, because 200 of the people are in New York, and 200 are in California, and 200 are in Florida, and that's diversified, so it's AAA. Then what happened was insurance companies got stuck with a lot of this, and they started realizing that they had junk. So then companies like AIG said, okay, what we'll do is we will offer these credit default swaps, which is kind of like insurance, except that it's not insurance, because if it was insurance, they would have been required to have a reserve so that they could pay the claims. A credit default swap is not an insurance policy, so they didn't have to have any reserves. So therefore, they were writing something that looked very much like an insurance policy against a loss, but there was no reserve to back it up.